One of my favorite forms of technology to use in the schools that I've seen in progress are some sort of iPads or tablets. Now, working with the second grade class that I did, they used them for all sorts of things. They used them for small group time. They used them to take comprehension tests over the books that they had read. You can really find anything to do with them. My favorite thing that I have seen them do is after a group lesson, after a certain subject has been explained to these kids, there is an app called Kahoot. And what it is the teacher will go onto the app and make a really cool little, like trivia game. And, he or she creates the questions on it and inputs the answers and then different answer choices that could be possible. And then the children on their tablets get on the app as well. And from the computer, the teacher projects the question, and they have so long to answer the question, and it goes into a sort of database. And after the time limit is up, it shows the right answer, what percent of the class got it right, and then on the iPads, it'll show it'll show the kid if their answer was right. So it's a really cool thing to kind of test the knowledge of the kids after you've gone through a certain subject and to kind of reinforce what you've already taught. I just graduated from a junior college this past spring. I got an associate's in general studies. Now, I was working on my associate's in education, EC through 6, and what had happened was I'd only had one class left for that degree, and I could have either stayed at that junior college and taken one class a whole semester and then gotten that degree, or I could have gone ahead and transferred. I transferred to commerce, obviously, but I could have transferred and taken the one class I was missing with a bunch of other classes and continue on with my degree without postponing some of the classes so long. When I graduated high school in 2016, I worked at Pizza Hut for a while, and eventually I came back and I applied for a job. I wanted an aide job, but at first I got a custodian job. And so I worked as a custodian for about a year, and then that summer I was offered an aide job. The aide job I have, I'm an RTI aide, and I get to work with kindergarten through third graders on reading and math interventions. I pull them out of class for anywhere between 30 minutes or an hour, a couple times a week. And for reading, usually we're either working on building fluency or comprehension or something along the lines of that, fluency, comprehension, accuracy, something like that. In math, it's a little bit more fun because we just work on what they're struggling with at the time. So we get a little bit more leeway there of what we can and can't do to help the kids. Technology really, really helps me with this because not only am I looking at different sort of lesson plans and stuff like that to help these kids, but I like to use, to help with the kids, I like to use IXL for math. It's a really great math thing. It's I like to use it as practice, kind of after I think they kind of get the gist of what we're talking about. We go in and we pick the topic, and it gives you just a bunch of practice questions, and we work them out together. And for reading, I'm always using some kind of timer or accuracy calculator or something like that. My hobbies. Working full-time at the school, I really don't have a lot of hobbies because if I'm not being an aide, during breaks and stuff like that, I still go and help the custodians with the jobs that need to be done. But in my spare time, I love to read. I like sci-fi and fantasy. I usually lean more to the fantasy genre, but reading is a big thing. I can spend hours and hours reading. I like to do crafts. I like to crochet, although I'm really bad at finishing anything. I have so many half-finished things that I want to finish, but then I find another cool idea and I start that instead of finishing the other one. I like to go outdoors I really like to kayak. I found out this past summer I like to mountain climb. That's fun. I like to hike. I like to go on trails and stuff like that. Holidays are always great. I always go out of my way at the school to celebrate holidays, little holidays, Earth Day, Arbor Day, Groundhog Day. All the little ones are really fun to celebrate because nobody really does that, and it makes the kids so excited. So I put a lot of effort into doing stuff like that. And all of the things, of course, I love to do with my boyfriend. He's pretty great. We like to go and do our outdoor stuff together. He loves to read just like I do. And if we're not being outdoors or reading, we definitely like to binge watch Netflix. My technology philosophy is that for kids to be engaged and excited about learning, it has to mean something to them. When I was in school, if I wasn't interested in what they were telling me, I didn't care at all. So, I think project-based learning is a good way to get the kids involved because it kind of connects what we're teaching them to real-world situations. You can apply them to real-world situations that matter to them or could possibly matter to them in the future. Doing stuff like this is kind of harder to do in a classroom because you have to figure out how to organize all of your materials and stuff like that. But technology helps with that. I like to use Google Drive a lot with my work. I have a file for each student for each section we're going over, and certain lesson plans and stuff like that. It helps keep me organized. It also makes graphs and stuff for me that I like to show the kids to show them, hey, this is how much you're growing. You've made this much progress. You're doing great. It's a really great tool, and if kids can see how they're improving, they get more excited about it. Kids like to see their improvement. Netiquette. I think that is the most important thing about using technology and internet and stuff like that. I think kids and adults should feel safely about what's going on in the classroom and that the tools we're using are being implemented the way they're supposed to be. It needs to be monitored. If you're going to use technology like that in a classroom where kids can communicate with each other or other people, it has to be very closely monitored. I think you should have to walk around the room and be very attentive to what's going on. Make sure there isn't anything that they can get onto that they shouldn't be able to. Make sure that there's no kind of chat room or anything like that where any kind of cyberbullying or anything like that can go on. I think one of my favorite theories to use in the classroom is actually one that I've learned this semester using this class, is the theory of constructivism. This says that people learn more from experience than from being lectured to, from being told anything. And I definitely 100% believe that. I believe kids do most of their learning when they have to figure things out on their own. They're taking the steps to get to the answer themselves. It means more to them. They're going to remember the process that they went through to get that answer. And I think they're more likely to remember the answer that way, the outcome. Now, definitely being a teacher, especially in elementary school, I'm going to have to kind of help guide and push them. But for most of the part, it's nice for them to be able to do that on their own. Teaching methods. My favorite to use is an activity or facilitator style. I think it helps a lot with the constructivism method where there's a lot of self-learning and critical thinking. It helps them come to problems on their own. It trains kids to ask questions about what they don't know instead of just giving them a lecture where the answers to whatever question they might ask is in a lecture. Let them come to you with the question, and they might remember it better. It helps them develop skills to help find answers and stuff through exploring rather than having anything explained to them. Culture change. Technology shouldn't get in the way or hinder classrooms. I think it can a lot of the time, especially with, things you can't control, like technical malfunctions and stuff like that. But it's really easy to get distracted when using technology, not just for the teacher, but the kid as well. Parents have the right to be cautious and stuff with their kids, but a lot of times parents can be distracting and kind of hinder the technology throughout the school if they're overly worrying. School leaders probably need to be the ones to implement the technology and have rules on how to integrate it. There should be certain time to be able to develop all of this and make sure it's not going to get in the way of your regular day-to-day classroom. The movement to technology is getting greater and greater as the years go on. I mean, everybody's using it in their day-to-day life already, so kids are going to have to learn how to use it to function in society when they get older. A good way to improve student collaboration is flipped classrooms, where the kids absorb the material by reading something or watching a video on, say, a tablet or a computer or something like that before a lesson. It's better if the teacher can create their own video, but if not, you can always go to YouTube or something like that and find a video you like based on your lesson that day. The kids can then, after that, spend time in the class doing projects that have them, help refine their understanding of the material, help drill that in, and apply what they learn. Again, YouTube and video and multimedia are pretty effective for this. Kids love YouTube nowadays. They watch videos all the time about how to create stuff and how to use stuff. It helps to be able to display different processes, like problem solving and thinking and prompting their attention while they learn. Modeling the thinking process of others is also great, and that comes with the video and multimedia tools that you could use in the classroom. Technology in my weekly lesson plan. Like I said, working with that second grade classroom, they use their tablets every day. They use them to take comprehension tests over their books. They use them to do math and reading games in their small group session. They used them during centers time. I have seen them use Skype before, where they talk with an expert. They actually talked to a zoologist when they went over their zoo lessons. I saw the second grade teacher I work with at the beginning of a science lesson put a zoomed in picture of a microscope on the board, and the kids had however many minutes to think of what it is before she showed it. That's a good way to use technology, and it's not very hard to do that. Class blogs are fun, Google Classroom and stuff like that. It gets kids thinking about how to use a database and stuff like that. YouTube for lyric videos and stuff like that. You can find a kid's song for pretty much any subject on YouTube, and that's always great. I really love any way you can use technology in a classroom. It really, really helps, and it'll help the kids in the long run, because they're going to have to learn how to use these tools in the end to be able to function in their day-to-day lives.